Good morning and welcome back to Coffee and Headlines, our daily get-together live here on Facebook every morning at 10:30, where we share headlines, comments, ideas, suggestions, tips, and questions about Puerto Vallarta, about our lives in Puerto Vallarta as an English-speaking community of locals, and how to best enjoy our city and our surroundings. It is always a pleasure to get together with you every single morning. And of course, it's a pleasure to share the mornings with my beloved assistant, Luna, who is, of course, all ears right now and making sure that she takes all the notes that she needs to take to ensure that we have the show notes that we share with you after each broadcast, where you will find all the links, all the things that we talk about. Of course, Luna, she looks like she's not paying attention, but she is multitasking. I assure you, she is paying much attention. It is cold. It is cold, or it feels cold. Largely, I mean, the temperature is not as cold right now, but because it gets so cold at night now, well, for us, it gets cold. It gets down to like 17 degrees Celsius. It brings chilly mornings to us. So Luna's been spending a lot of time next to me lately. So I'm going to just let her sit there and rest while we continue our greetings. And speaking of greetings, if you are new to Coffee and Headlines, my name is Paco, and we would love to find out that you're new. So feel free to let us know by writing the word new in your comment and let us know where you're from so that we can feel excited about what a great cluster of people we are. There are people that are watching us from Puerto Vallarta, but there are a lot of people that watch us from elsewhere. Like Paul, for example, who watches us from Boston every day, and he comes down to Puerto Vallarta several times a year. So he's as much of a local as I know, because he's now entrenched with our community. I love this greeting from Tomas Pollito Flannery because he says, Oli. Oli is kind of like saying hola, but it's kind of like cute. It's kind of like, Oli, hello, hello. It is great to see you, my friend. It's great to see you, Lisa. I love that smile on your photograph. I really, really do. Claude, it's always a pleasure. Jill is checking in from El Centro. Raymond, our favorite baker, although there's a lot of bakers out there, but Raymond is special because he's always here with us to be part of this community, this cluster, and it is always a pleasure to see you. As always, if you have any important questions that you want to share, it helps us a lot if you add the letter Q at the beginning of your question so that we can make sure we get to it during the broadcast. And speaking of questions, I'm wondering how many of you went trolloloing yesterday afternoon after we shared a weird and funny song. I got a couple of comments from you that it became a little bit of an earworm, and that's the general idea. The Trollolo song. It is actually funny. I love it. I love it. Let's see who else is here. Good morning, Paco and everyone. Can you say what day it is when you start this show? I get confused easily and find myself watching yesterday's show for a good while. I believe it is Tuesday all day long. And I'm happy that it's Tuesday because today I have to go out for a walk because tomorrow is Walking Wednesday. And I already know where I'm going to go and I already know what I'm going to do because there's a new kid in the hall. There's a new kid in the block, rather. And I want to go meet this new kid and share him with you. Some of you may guess what I'm talking about. Some of you may not. We'll leave it as a suspense. Let's see. Oh dear, do I dare try to pronounce that? It's a big way from, oh dear, Here I go. Watch me mess this up. It's a big wave from Cœur de Lion. It's a big wave from Idaho. John, it's great to see you. I knew I would mess up your city, but I'm sure it's a beautiful place. Um, oh, Oh, how dare you, Joe? I always look for a shirt to tell if I have seen the show prior. I need new wardrobe. I know. I always make sure that I don't wear the same shirt twice. But you've commented enough about my cock t-shirt. I know that you know it. I got to go shopping. I have to go shopping this Christmas for new shirts. Colleen says that Mr. Trololo reminds her of a Chevy Chase skit. I love it. I love it. What else do we have? The likes are not showing up this morning. It's nothing I said. I swear to God, it's nothing I said or nothing I did. That might have something to do with Facebook. And Michael helps me out. Cordelane. So much for trying to be French in my pronunciation. Cordelane. Whatever. I'm just happy to see you all. Today is an important day of news. We're going to talk about the vaccine because now we have news about when it's coming to Mexico and how it's going to be deployed, who's going to get it first, who's going to get it second, how long are the vaccination periods are going to take place, so forth and so on. I know you didn't mean it in a bad way, Joe, but still, I'm self-conscious. It's like, you know what it is? If I see clothes that are comfortable, I buy many of the same thing so that I don't have to go buy more. I have lost my sense of fashion consciousness, I'm afraid. So if anybody sees me out there wearing my khaki shorts, it's not that I'm wearing the same shorts every day. It's that I have 6 pairs of the same kind. And that's just the way I handle my clothes. What can I tell you? Anyhow, Claude wants to make me blush like a schoolgirl because he wants to give me French lessons. Oh, good Lord. Anyhow, lots of news about vaccines, lots of news about security, lots of news about, oh gosh, we have to talk about that murder again. Well, we don't have to, but I think it's important that we pay attention to these things. And I am going to talk about a hotel where things went horribly wrong, and I'm sure they wouldn't want me telling you about this, but girl, it was not pretty. Something horrible happened in a hotel in Puerto Vallarta. And as usual, the media is kind of like, nobody wants to talk about the bad things because Puerto Vallarta is the friendliest city in the world. But we're not going to go there just yet. First of all, I'm going to start with a question, and this is not a trick question. I am interested in our perception of the vaccine and our perception of its relationship with the pandemic. And I'm frankly curious as to whether you think the vaccine will make the pandemic go away. So let me publish this poll. Oh, there you go. Do you think the COVID-19 vaccine will make the pandemic go away? You should see this poll on your screen now, and feel free to click on your answer. And no shaming. I'm just curious about where our perception is of the vaccine, and we'll come back to this in a little while. But in the meantime, let us start with our news, and we'll take it from there, shall we? Boom. Well, vaccination has started. Not here, but it has started in London. It was in England, rather. It was Margaret Keenan, a grandmother that turns 91 years old this week, that became the first person in the world to receive the vaccine outside of a trail procedure. We know, of course, that England was the first country to approve the first Western world country to approve a vaccine, and this is the Pfizer vaccine that has been authorized in England, and we know, of course, that this vaccine is going to be the one that hopefully will be authorized in the United States on the 10th of December, as I understand it, and of course, once it is authorized in the United States, it will be pretty much automatically authorized in Mexico, where it will be deployed in the following fashion. This was announced this morning by Mexico President Andrés Manuel López Obrador and Hugo López Gatell, that the first vaccines will arrive in Mexico on the third week of December, assuming that the vaccine gets authorized by the FDA in the United States on the 10th. But everybody is writing and talking about this as though it is going to happen. So I assume it is just a formality. Now, in the information that we obtained from the president of Mexico, from Andrés Manuel López Obrador this morning, and from Hugo López Gatell, we understand that the first 250,000 doses of the vaccine will be destined for health professionals that have first contact with COVID patients in Mexico. After that, we find out more information about the vaccine. Some of it we already knew. This is a vaccine that requires ultra low temperatures, and it needs to be diluted, and it needs to be applied in 2 doses with a 21-day interval between them. So it's not like just going to the hospital and getting a prick and then being A-okay. So first stage of the vaccine, health professionals, and it'll continue through the month of January. From February to April will be phase 2, which will include missing health professionals and people that are 60 years of age and older. Stage 3 will be from April to May, and it will include people that are from 50 to 59 years of age. That will be my group. And stage 4 will go from May to June for people between 40 and 49 years of age. And stage 5 will go from June 2021 to March 2022, and that will include the rest of the population. We know for a fact that the vaccine will not be mandatory in Mexico. If you don't want to take the vaccine, you don't have to take the vaccine. And we don't know at this stage of the operation, again, this is information that was just released this morning. We don't know how people that are of foreign extraction living in Mexico are going to be thrown into that mix. I would imagine, and again, this is just me speculation. This is not me speculating. This is not facts. I would imagine that the vaccine will be offered to people that have access to the medical system. And thank you, Pilar Perez, for summarizing what I just said. I appreciate that very much, in case somebody wants it in summary format. Oh, here we go. We've just learned a fabulous way in which you can display your big photograph from Facebook. All you have to do is introduce a long comment. Pilar doesn't have a photograph, so we don't get to see her beautiful face. Anyhow, that is the way this vaccine is going to be deployed in Mexico. We also learned from another article that the military personnel, because they are important in the operation of our government, according to our president, will also be among the first individuals to receive the vaccine. So the priority will be given to members of the military, and of course, it will be given as a priority to the elderly. So those are the priorities in our country. I thought it would be good to know. And of course, as far as the representation of the foreign community, we will keep our eyes open. Now, looking at the results on your video, let me show them to you. And I know it's a difficult question to answer because we don't know a lot of information just yet. We are pretty much divided in a sense that about half of us feel that the vaccine will make the pandemic go away, and the other half feel as though it's not going to happen that way. The reason I ask is because I'm sure we're all tired, and I'm sure we'd all rather think about the fact that as soon as the vaccine comes, everything will be fine and we'll go back to life the way it was before. But the reality is that it's not going to be that way. According to what I've read and according to what I've seen published, the arrival of the vaccine will not finish the pandemic. Why? Because the vaccine is going to take time to deploy, and because people are tired of all the restrictions. So it is important to take into account that as the vaccine is being distributed in our country and, of course, in the rest of the world, this does not mean that we have to stop following the guidelines. We have to continue to safe distance. We have to continue to wear a face mask. We have to continue to avoid congregations indoors and so forth and so on. So in case you were hoping that this would give us a break, unfortunately, it is not going to give us a break. We're going to have to continue to follow these guidelines for some time and to continue accepting this as a new part of the way in which we have to live our day-to-day lives. Let me take a quick look at your comments because I know this is a complicated and thought-provoking line of conversation. And of course, it's always challenging to have a dynamic back and forth dialogue here because I'm the one with the microphone. You guys are the ones with the keyboard. But I always like to take your comments into account, of course. Let me take a look. We've seen all that. When virus vaccine, Well, again, I don't know exactly where this question came up, Dana. Again, I'm hoping that this will become clear. I would imagine that if you have access to the health system, you should be able to get the vaccine. But we will be keeping track of this situation, of course. Do we know which vaccine or vaccines will be given in Mexico? The first vaccine that will become available is the Pfizer vaccine, which is the one that has been authorized in England, and it's the one that is going to be first deployed in the United States. I do know from things that I've read that our ability to have the vaccine this quickly has to do with our relationship to the United States, and even President Andrés Manuel López Obrador volunteered that it was President Donald Trump who allowed for this to happen. But I don't know many more details to that effect, and I'm sure that later on other vaccines will become available. Let's see. Thomas Pollito Flannery is right. We need to get 75% of the population vaccinated, and it will be a long process. Absolutely. And yes, it was a tough question, and I appreciate your participation. It will eventually make things go away, but we will continue to have to keep an eye on what is going on. Alan says, ¿Qué onda, Paco? ¿Cómo estás? ¿Qué onda, Alan? ¿Qué pachuca por Toluca? I love to be greeted in Spanish. You guys are wonderful. Let's see. I don't quite see it like that, Jaime. I don't blame you for being skeptical. I choose to not see it like that. But it is unfortunate that sometimes the things that happen around us lead us to believe that the officials and the wealthy who buy their spot at the end of the line are the first to benefit. By the way, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador has said he's not going to take the vaccine immediately. He's going to wait for his turn, for whatever that's worth. Let's see what else we have. Paco, do you know how full the hospitals are? I don't know, Doug. I really don't, because it's not information that we're following here at Coffee and Headlines. We follow what the governor provides us. He did not provide a report yesterday. I'm still strangely missing it. I keep looking at his personal Facebook page to see what he published, and he didn't publish anything. I looked at some of the stats that the Secretaría de Salud Jalisco deploys, and I did not see information to that effect. Question from Dana Douglas. So if you have an IMSS card, are you good? I think so. Yes, I think so. Uh, Dana also says residencia permanente. I again, if you're a permanent resident, I don't see why you shouldn't be able to get the vaccine. But again, all these details are going to be ironed, and as soon as they're ironed and we have reliable information, I do not want um, to provide false information when I don't have any fundamental backing for it. Heather agrees with Jaime, and again, I respect your feelings, and I just think it's unfortunate you're not alone in being untrusty of the system. But that's just the way it is. Let me continue with other COVID related news because there are more things that we can talk about. And that is the fact that December and January are expected to be the worst COVID months here in Mexico. This is according to the trends that we've seen in other countries where a second wave of COVID has arisen. It is believed that the same thing will happen here in Mexico. Between the fact that people are tired, the fact that we have cold season and flu season, and so forth and so on, it is expected that things are not going to improve on their own through the rest of the month. And that is just, unfortunately, the nature of the beast, which means to us that we need to continue to follow these guidelines, my friends. This is just very, very important. Along those lines, I love these photos where our mayor, Arturo Dávalos, meets with his important people and they send out important messages. And I can't help but to wonder, well, we have the videos of what they say, and we have some news outlets that report on what they say. But does this information get to the citizens? I really wonder. Well, it gets to me, and it gets to this community, this cluster, and that is good enough for me. And this particular meeting is the usual meeting that the mayor has with his security team. And now he's calling to his team to make sure that they keep an eye on businesses that are throwing parties, on people in their own homes that are throwing parties. These are a no-no, and I've had to call a couple of times because there are posadas and Christmas parties happening in my neighborhood, and I have no qualms about calling the government, and I don't think anybody should. If you hear anybody having a party near your house, just make a phone call so that the government can do what they're supposed to do, which is to go and stop the parties wherever they are happening. We also find out that the security team and met with the business community of the region because it's been over a week since real estate mogul Felipe Tomé was kidnapped and subsequently murdered here well, he was kidnapped in Puerto Vallarta, he was murdered, and his body was found in Nayarit. And there are still no leads on why this happened and who is responsible. Needless to say, the local business community is concerned because these kinds of situations convey a sense of insecurity for the region. So there was a call to the director of security and safety for the state of Jalisco, Ricardo Sanchez Berumen, to not think for a second that we're not paying attention, that it is hoped that some clarity will become available about this particular case. And also another thing that was talked about are other problems that continue to plague our city, which include family violence, sexual abuse among children, and child pornography. These are two things that you may not hear about on a regular basis, but unfortunately they continue to happen. The local security team was challenged over 60 security cameras that are supposed to be working around the city. And when the business community pressured them to say, well, where are these 60 cameras? We want to see them working. And there was no, they did not deliver. So the government says we have 60 security cameras working around the city. We have not seen them work. So that's the way things are. The good news about this particular news item is that the business community is not letting go, making sure that the government is doing what they're supposed to be doing. Let's see what else we have here in store. We're shifting into the lighter stuff, so let me go back to your questions and comments because I see that you're scrolling frantically, and let's see, what do we have here? Da, 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 da. Stephanie was at hospital the other day, not one COVID-19 patient. That is good to know. Let's see. Question: which government to call, state or municipal? Where do I find the number? Good question, Jill. The number is 911. If you call 911 here in Puerto Vallarta, that should connect you to the proper place. I'm sure there's another number for reglamentos, and we've posted it in the past. Let me see if I still have it handy, because I used to have it handy and I don't have it handy. Yes, I do, of course. Here's the number for reglamentos, 322-224-0918. I'm going to keep that around as long as I'm going through this round of questions. Do I have the number? Hello, there it is. Either this number or 911 would work. This government site supposedly keeps track of the number of beds available for COVID, including those with ventilators. Just type in the state you are asking about. Thank you, Heather. Again, I am not particularly concerned about hospital occupation, and until and unless I hear from this cluster that hospital numbers are important to you, I will not follow them more than we have to, because to me, personally, what is important is that we follow the guidelines we're supposed to follow. Now, if you want to hear more specific information about numbers that we have very little control about on a personal level, just write the word hospital in the comment section, and I will be happy to go there on a regular basis. Question from Casa Bellavista. Can you post before Christmas some charities' contact information? I will not do that, Lynn, because I have very little faith in local charities. And I know I'm going to be shamed for saying that. I do not support any particular charity. I have had enough unpleasant experiences with enough charities here in Puerto Vallarta that operate in questionable, dubious manner that I think it's best not to discuss local charities here unless we are discussing specific events or things that are going on. So I do apologize, Lynn. Do not expect much love from me or this project to local charities. That's just the way it is. But there is no shortage of information on local charities online. And if this is something that upsets you or bothers you, then I sincerely apologize. Charities is not something that we enjoy talking about here. Survey button not working. I'm sorry to hear, Paula. The survey was opened and closed. If it's not working by now, it's because we just had it. Did I miss the hotel story? Not yet. Not yet. There's the number for reglamentos. Thank you very much, Pollito. Oli. Let's see what else. Paco, I'm sure you know best what a kind of worms the discussion would be. My take on charities, Ed, is I will not share information that is unsolicited. If you ask me personally, what was your experience with so-and-so, I will have no qualms in sharing it. And I am sure that my experiences or what I know about specific charities are personal, but I do know from a number of people that charities don't always behave the way they're supposed to behave. And whenever a charity does that, people don't want to talk about it because charities are supposed to be this holy, untouchable thing. I got into a lot of problems last year when I went to an event, and I believe we're followed by the director of this event, so I have no qualms talking about this. Last year, I went to the chili cookout, and I was totally blown out of my mind when I saw that huge amount of styrofoam being used and disposed of, and I wrote about it, and a lot of people chewed me up. So that is one example of a situation why I choose not to discuss charities. That's just That's just my take. Boom, bidding, pum, 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 pum. Paco, I think people are asking about hospital numbers because that seems to be the determining factor for shutdowns in the USA. Well, this is not the USA, Jorge. And that's a good thing, actually. This is Mexico, and we are looking for other kinds of information, and we are running by other kinds of information. Den asks, what about the charity for the horses that you and Logan support? Can we have that information, please? Always. That's not a formal charity, and we would be the first person to say that we're not a nonprofit. We are not officially sanctioned. We don't have paperwork. We don't file taxes or anything. This is simply an informal effort that my friend Logan and I do. And about that, I am always happy to talk about. And next time it is our turn to go feed the horses in El Jorullo, we'll be so very happy to talk about that. Thank you for that, David. It's one of those things. It's one of those things. And thank you for that, Claude. Again, this happens, and unfortunately, people don't want to talk about these things. So the good thing is that there are many, many other wonderful things to talk about that take place here in Puerto Vallarta, and that's what we're going to continue to talk about. I also don't talk much about fishing because I don't know much about fishing. But if you told me, you have to talk more about fishing, then I would pay attention to you, and I would be so very happy to do that. Let's see. What else do we have? Yes, you are right, Mushi. That is one of the factors driving the emergency button. Of course, you want to know where you stand. I want to know where we stand too. But if the governor of our state does not provide information, then I can't make it up. And I choose not to. So once we have information that comes to me from one of the reliable sources that I follow, I will be so very happy to share. Moving right along, let's see, we've covered that. And what is next? Okay, so we're getting closer to the hospital failure. Oh my God, spam. Spam. Oh my goodness. I will be so very happy to remove this once we're done with the show. I don't know who the fuck you are, but get the fuck out of here. Just go, 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 go. You're gonna be blocked at the end of the broadcast. So there you go. It's part of the damage control we have to do here. Going back to headlines, every year there is a Christmas outdoor market or tianguis in Pitillal, and a number of people have been wondering, well, is this going to happen or not? And for better or for worse, the permit for the tianguis the Pitillal in the Christmas Pitillal tianguis is going to happen. This happens at the Pitillal Plaza every year. A number of businesses go out and set up shop, and they sell Christmas stuff. And it is estimated that about 200 booths will set up shop at the Pitillal Plaza this year. I don't know exactly what date it's going to happen, but there will be a tianguis. Of course, when it is available, we will go and take a video and figure out whether it's a safe environment or not. But this is exciting. Yay, Christmas tianguis. Hopefully it will be carried on with the best of the safety guidelines. And now, here comes the hotel. Well, we have to love... We have to love Noticias PB. Noticias PB is the one local news outlet that I love to trust and sometimes not so much. But if there's something that characterizes Noticias PB, is that they end up always disseminating the whiny news items or the things that nobody else wants to publish. So I don't want to make this more of a suspense thing, but guess what? Let me tell you how many, because, it's over 60. No, it was 80 employees of the Grand Park Royal Hotel in the South Shore ended up having food poisoning because they were fed food that was not good anymore. So imagine that you are at clinic number 42 of IMSS, the IMSS clinic. That's the main clinic. And you end up bombarded. This is not funny, but when 80 people show up with diarrhea, they were bombarded. People that ate chicken enchiladas and pasta and beans, um, that we're not doing good. And of course, all these employees are afraid of talking about this because they don't want to have any repercussions from the hotel. But I tell you, this is not a hotel I would be interested in staying at, um, or having anything to do with. This was the Park Royal Hotel south of Puerto Vallarta. That is simply horrible. Horrible. I sure hope that all these employees are feeling better. And yes, who does that to its employees? I am sure it's not done deliberately, but oh my God, that is not a good thing to know. I did know about the relationship with the LGBT community, Logan. So it's horrible, and I wish to believe that the hospital, the hotel will not bury this bit of news. And a little bit of commentary here, if I may. So many businesses and so many people here. And this is even related to the charities before. So many people here still think that if you just stop talking about things and just take them under the rug, they will simply go away. Well, we live in an era, in a time in which social media makes it inevitable for people to find out about these things. So you find out about these things, and as Jorge says, we need to invoke our good old aviary correspondent. Exactly. What the fuck? So it is really sad that a lot of people still think that you can just throw things under the rug and everything is fine. My sincere wish for the Grand Park Royal Hotel, located on the South Shore with spectacular view to the ocean and blah 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 blah, that they will actually explain this. That they will actually talk about it. Shit happens. Something that really bummed me out last year when the whole chili cookout incident took place is, do you think we ever heard from the organization? Do you think the organization ever thought or had the mindset or the foresight to say, somebody called us in on this and we didn't realize it was that important. We learned from that experience. Do you think nonprofits are willing to do that when they make mistakes? Do you think hotels are doing this? And it is really unfortunate. It is truly unfortunate. Lorraine puts it down in the most eloquent way possible. If a guest staying at that hotel was to walk to the concierge, it makes me wonder, what will the concierge say to their guests? Enough of that. Another one along those lines is this commentary also coming from Noticias Pepe about the fact that Unirse, this very important building where we have to do a lot of government transactions and paperwork and so forth and so on. This is a place, for example, where you get your driver's license. It's a horrible focus of possible cases of COVID because you have to wait for hours outside to get your appointment, and people are waiting in line, and they're not safe distancing, and people are not wearing face masks. So I have no problems talking about this because, again, it is important that the authorities realize that these things cannot happen just like that. I mean, they have to take responsibility. And I wanted to share that with you. If you have to conduct any business in this building, just be very careful. And if you're standing in line and you see people that are standing too close, find a gentle way to tell them exactly how you feel. And hopefully you won't have to do anything in that building. I have to renew my driver's license, and even though they say you can now do it in less than 10 or 15 minutes, I'm still not going to go there. Then again, my car's still dead. So what do I have to worry about? Moving on. We're moving into the leisurely stuff. So let me get to the weather. Oh my God, it's already 11:09, and we still have 5 headlines to share. Sit on tight. I hope you're having a good time. Let's cue the weather. Boom. Sometimes you push my buttons and sometimes I just get going. I'm very sorry about that. 26 degrees Celsius feels like 29. It is 79 degrees Fahrenheit. Humidity is a high 75%. Um, Oh, rest in peace to the best test pilot in the galaxy. That is correct. The first the first man to ever go past the barrier of sound passed away today. I forget his name. I believe his name was Rip, maybe. I know that Rip means rest in peace, but I forget the name of the pilot that passed away today. He passed away in his 70s, a true American hero. The weather forecast for today: humid and mostly cloudy through the day, high of 29, low of 21. Tomorrow, Wednesday, humid throughout the day. 29 is the high temperature, 20 is the low temperature. And then Thursday, humid and partly cloudy through the day with a high temperature of 29, a low temperature of 19. Chuck Yeager, thank you very much for those of you that are posting his name. Thank you very much. Boom, ba-ding, bum, boom, bum, bum. Okay, now we move into fun, leisurely stuff. This has nothing to do with anything, but it just made me laugh. Maybe because I'm bald, not bold as in courageous, but bald. Now that's a tricky word. Bold is courageous. Bald. Well, I have no hair. And apparently, at this soccer game, artificial intelligence confused a camera because the referee or I don't even know if it's called a referee or an umpire in English. This is a soccer game, and he had no hair in his head, and that kept making the camera not point at where it was supposed to point, because the game is happening elsewhere, but the automatic camera kept following the umpire or the referee, and that was absolutely funny. At least it was funny yesterday when I first saw it. Maybe I had a little bit of grass. I'm not entirely sure, but I'm going to share this headline with you in case you want to follow it along. The end of that. This is comforting because in Mazatlan they seem to be taking things according to the population's wishes. As you know, the Mazatlan Carnival is one of the most popular in Mexico, and it is very highly attended. Well, the government asked the population, do you want to have a carnival this year or not? And the population said no. The carnival in Mazatlan, which was scheduled to take place on February 11, will not take place. 89.9% of the people that participated in that questionnaire said we don't want the carnival this year. So it is nice to see that Mazatlan is handling their big events that way, and how nice it would be if this was the way it was handled here in Puerto Vallarta. Let me now jump to our silly song of the day, and then we'll continue with a couple of extra headlines that I have to share with you, and we will take a look at your final comments, and I will have a final comment to share about nonprofits if I may. Back in November 2012, Metro Trains in Melbourne, Australia, decided to deploy a public service announcement to promote railway safety. This campaign was called Dumb Ways to Die. The campaign was aimed at an audience that really doesn't want to hear any kind of safety messages anyway, so they try to make it as funny as possible. The campaign appeared in newspapers. It appeared in local radio and outdoor advertising through Metro Trains network. And then the campaign became both a song and an animated video that featured these very funny-looking characters. The song has lyrics such as, set fire to your hair, poke a stick at a grizzly bear, eat medicine that's out of date, use your private parts as piranha bait. Dumb ways to die. So many dumb ways to die. And that's the chorus. So Daisy Dumas of the Sydney Morning Herald described it as darkly cute and irksomely catchy, and the chorus as instant earworm material. I heard this song and I figured, oh my God, this would be perfect for Zoe Lewis. And I'm going to share the video of the song with you today. Of course, you're going to find it on Facebook, on YouTube. And just because we can, I'm going to put it up in the comment sections while we're here because it's easy to do. Bam! So, Dumb Ways to Die is our fabulous, funny song that I expect you to be singing all afternoon tomorrow. Of course, it received a lot of accolades in trade publications and award ceremonies, but it did not go without tarnish. A lot of people felt that the song discredited the fact that a lot of people commit suicide by jumping into rails, which is not a funny thing, but it was absolutely, it was funny. Oh, and in Russia, it was completely censored. In Russia, they absolutely would not play the song at all, although it was leaked and it was a huge success. Anyhow, before I show you the last photograph, I want to take a look at your final questions and comments. And while I'm looking for them, I want to tell you that as far as nonprofits go, it's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to tell a nonprofit, hey, I heard this about you, and I heard that about you, and I want to understand exactly what the monies are being used, and I want to understand what you're going to do with my donation and stuff like that. I'm not saying do not support local charities. What I'm saying is ask the important questions. Ask for references. Ask people that have become involved in that charity. Ask out loud, if there are any problems that you should be aware of. We are all entitled to this information. And if a charity does not want to disclose the problems they've had with you, then it is a charity that should probably not be worthy of receiving your support. That's all I'm going to say. Let's see. Question: is that where you pay your property taxes? I actually don't know, Brian. Most of the taxes that I pay online. But if anybody here in the community knows exactly what other things go on at Unirse, it would be very helpful. And Julie chimes in on what I just said. Let's see what else we have. Boom, ba-dum-bum-bum-bum-bum. Driver's license. Is it worth 200 US to pay someone to do all the paperwork and obtain token appointment? Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba. I don't have an answer for you, Tomas. I think paying $200 is a lot of money for somebody to do the bribe thing. I think that's just a lot of money. I think that's a lot of money. I don't understand who's doing it that way. I know that there are people from the English-speaking community that go through the process. In fact, I would love to hear from somebody that has gone through the process. So, but it does seem to be like a lot of money. Let's see, what else do we have? Umpire is baseball. Thank you very much. That shows you how much of a sports boy I am. Let's see. What about the processions here in Mexico? Processions are canceled. There are no processions to be had. There are no food vendors. None of that is happening this year. Let's see what else we have. No, it's not Baby Shark territory. It is a lot more wholesome and complete and wonderful and beautiful. I can't stop singing it. Deanna says, Per Project is a great charity. Good for you. And if that's the charity that you enjoy, good for you. I have been to their cat sanctuary. It's a great place to go and hang out and be with the cats. But again, I want to stay away from charities in general. And that's just me. The last thing that I want to share with you is, of course, one of the most popular shows on Netflix nowadays is Selena, the new miniseries. And I wanted to share this beauty. This beauty that is here is dressed in all kinds of Tejano music realness, circa 1986. She is the actress that plays Laura Canales, a real-life diva in the series, and her name is Katia Ojeda. She's my niece, and I'm very proud of her. She is the eldest of the next generation of Ojedas in my family. She is the eldest of my nieces and my nephews, and I am so very proud of her for for keeping the creative streak in the family alive. Her name again is Katia Ojeda. So if you are watching the series, no, she's not Selena. She is another one of the singers, and she shows up on episode 3 of the show. So proud uncle, just wanted to share that with you. And with that, it is a good time to start saying our goodbyes. And as always, if you find something helpful, useful, inspiring, or otherwise anything that makes you break a smile during this broadcast, please remember that Coffee and Headlines is a community supported project. We don't have advertisers. We don't. We rely on your support to be able to continue these broadcasts on a daily basis. We've been broadcasting every single day since March 31st, with one day exception. A couple of nights I went away, but I had pre-recorded content for you to be able to feel like you were not being left alone. So please consider spreading the good word about Coffee and Headlines. Please consider supporting us by using the link below, which is readily available on the website. It's readily available on Facebook, everywhere we are. Be it a cup of coffee, be it a monthly subscription or an annual subscription, it all goes a long way. And no, I'm not a charity, but this is the way we pay rent. This is the way we make a living. So both Luna and I are extremely appreciative of your support. Right, little lady? Okay, she's done. And so are we. Thank you very much for joining us today. I hope I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, of course, is Walking Wednesday, and boy, do I have a nice surprise for you. Have a great day. Stay happy, stay kind, stay healthy, stay generous, and stay in touch. Bye.